So guys, something very painful and heartbreaking happened in a community in Benin-City, Edo State, Nigeria. An incident so gruesome that it shook the entire neighborhood to its core. It all began on Thursday, March 6, 2025, when 44-year-old Lawrence Edobor left home for the burial ceremony of his friend's mother. If you are familiar with how burials are conducted in most Nigerian cultures, you probably have a fair idea of the situation in which Lawrence would later find himself. Most burial ceremonies usually last a couple of days and are sometimes filled with traditional rites, music, and gatherings of friends and family. Since this particular burial involved someone very close to him, Lawrence probably chose to stay behind after the main event to assist his friend and also provide moral support. The activities extended late into the night, and when it was eventually time for him and others to go, it was already past midnight. Lawrence was said to have taken a ride home together with his friends. However, at around 2 a.m., he was dropped off on a street, which was just a short walking distance from his house. Little did they know that leaving poor Lawrence alone on the street at that time of the night would turn out to be one of the biggest mistakes they would ever make. A couple of minutes later, a local security group known as the Edo State Security Corps, which operated as a community vigilante team, was on routine patrol. These security teams were formed to assist the police in fighting the rising crime rates in the state. So, while patrolling the area that night, they spotted a group of young men moving suspiciously. Upon seeing the security team, most of them scattered into different directions, running as fast as their legs could carry them. However, one man was not so lucky. A 27-year-old suspect, later identified as Wadia Erebiwa, was apprehended by the security team. Wadia was carrying a yellow polythene bag, and when asked what he was doing outside at that time of the night, his response made little sense. He stuttered, gave unclear answers, and his body language screamed guilt. The security team grew suspicious and demanded to see what was inside the bag. At that moment, Wadia knew he was in deep trouble. He panicked, and instead of cooperating, he made a desperate attempt to run away. He ran into the darkness, hoping to escape, but the vigilantes gave chase. They ran after him, determined not to let him disappear into the night. After a brief but intense struggle, he was recaptured and overpowered. The security men, now even more convinced that something was terribly wrong, insisted that he open the bag. Wadia hesitated, but since there was no other way out, he gave in to their demands. When he finally opened the bag, what they saw inside made their blood run cold. The security men may have suspected Wadia to be in possession of something illegal, judging from how he attempted to escape from them, but discovering a human head was probably something they would never have imagined. The vigilantes examined the face, and they realized that it was definitely someone they knew. The head was that of Lawrence Edobor, a man who was well known in the area. Wadia was handcuffed and then asked to lead them to where he had left the other remains. Under pressure, he finally broke down and led them to the scene. Wadia had left the remains by the roadside, hoping that the community members would wake up in the morning to make the grim discovery. Unfortunately for him, things didn't go as planned since he got captured that same night. The police were contacted around 3 a.m. that night, and the gruesome act was reported to them. The police made their way to the scene and then took Wadia into custody. Lawrence Edobor was a well-known fashion designer in the Botobo area of Benin-City, Edo State, Nigeria. He owned a shop in Eweka where he built a reputation for his craftsmanship and dedication to his work. His passion for fashion and tailoring earned him a respectable name within his community, as many people relied on his skills for their clothing needs. Even though not much is publicly known about his personal life, Lawrence was described as a hardworking and peaceful man who had built strong relationships with his neighbors and customers. Lawrence's family members were notified of the horrific discovery, which sent them into a frenzy of heartbreak and utter disbelief.
Make I come, say they call her, say my brother, say big grand. So what to do? Come they say, what will happen? How come? Now I take get up. So I get up, me and her. Now she go call my elder brother, say the next compound. Come rush, come out from compound. As we come out before we reach there, the person will call her, consider her, say they don't kill her. Say big grand, now we take rush.
He say no, he say be like say person big grand, person big grand. So before you know, so I can't they worry. Before you know, come later call me say some people drive past, so see they come they say scenery. You see whether not be Lawrence be scenery. Now you're shocked. I say yes, my brother Lawrence not be scenery. So now I come people tell my brother, my husband brother say, see what my sister talk. You say that they call scenery. Say na him big ground. So now I come rush look for the brothers.
We don't get papa, we don't get mama. Now only us that remain. We don't get now only that my brother because we never born because all of us as we just dey here, so all of us they pray.
It is currently believed that after Lawrence was dropped off by his friends that night, a group of men suspected to be ritualists ambushed and attacked him before committing the gruesome act for suspected ritual purposes. Uwadia is currently in police custody, while Lawrence's remains have been preserved in the mortuary, as more investigations are being conducted to apprehend all the culprits involved in the heinous crime.
This is the exact spot where this young man was allegedly by this assailant. For now, you can see that what people are currently calling for right now is justice, justice, justice. The young man has been explained, and all they can call for right now is justice. And who are those to dispense justice? One, the police must do extensive investigation towards ensuring that all those fingered in this dastardly act are arrested and brought to justice. And the judiciary.
The police have begun an intense investigation, trying to determine whether Uwadia acted alone or was part of a larger syndicate involved in sourcing and also trading body parts to ritualists. This incident is just one of many that show how insecurity in Nigeria has reached alarming levels. It is deeply concerning that people can no longer feel safe walking home at night, even in their own neighborhoods. These ritual killings have become too frequent, and the scariest part is that for every one person caught, there are likely many more still out there operating in the shadows and looking for their next victim. It raises a serious question: how many people have vanished without a trace, their families left with no answers, and how many more will it take before something is truly done to stop this? The government must take urgent action by enforcing stricter laws, strengthening community policing, regulating traditional practices, and creating economic opportunities to tackle the root causes. Without these measures, these horrific crimes is likely to only persist. While Uwadia is currently in police custody, many believe he is just one piece of a larger puzzle. The real masterminds behind this evil, the people funding and benefiting from this trade, are still out there. At the time this video was made, this case was still under active investigation. As more information emerges, I will keep you updated, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any updates on this case. Thank you for watching and stay safe.